Give me a P.
P.
Give me an H.
H.
Give me a B.
B.
What do you say?
Hey.
Give me a P.
P.
Give me an H.
H.
Give me a B.
B.
What do you say?
Hey.
Hey, welcome to Promote Her Business, our Promotion Pro interview series. And today we are, as always, promoting the heck out of our business and each other. Say it with me now: online, offline, all the
time.
My name is Josephine Hannon. You can call me Jose. I'm the founder of Promote Her Business, and thank you for attending this series and continuing to grow yourself, grow your business, and grow your network, and also teach your network the best practices in marketing today. So if you really want to get ahead of the game, the best way to do it is to stay on top of the hottest marketing strategies today. And one of those strategies is called Twitter. Tweeting for business is our topic. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jose, why are we talking about this topic? And something to note is that 47% of people who follow a brand on Twitter are more likely to visit that company's website. And that's why you see all types of companies on Twitter, whether it's the chiropractor down the street or it's big companies like Dell or HP or AT&T. So today, the purpose of this interview is to learn what Twitter can do for your business, and not just to learn from anybody, but to learn from somebody who can really show us how to be masterful at Twitter and understand if the platform is really right for us, and if it is, how to really optimize our effectiveness on it. So what you're going to hear today is more precious than even gold. So what you're going to want to do is take some copious notes as we go and really make sure you're somewhere you can hear every single word. So with that, I have the pleasure to introduce our guest for today, although she's not really a guest. She's been part of our SB chapter for quite some time, and then she went ahead and moved to Panama. And now she is just having a wonderful experience out there, and she's still able to communicate her expertise to us. For those of you that don't know her, Elizabeth Miner is not only our Silicon Valley chapter advisor to our esteemed leadership team, but she's also a business coach and global achievement specialist. She has founded the company Thrive This Day. That's thrivethisday, all one word.com. And she has an expertise in Twitter and social media. So Elizabeth, are you there?
I am. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. We miss you at Silicon Valley chapter in person, but we are going to definitely pick your brain virtually and really take everybody's businesses to the next level. So this is so exciting. So I was curious, why is the topic of Twitter so near and dear to your heart? And what really made you want to come on and do this interview?
Well, again, thank you for having me here. And I miss the Silicon Valley chapter of PHB tremendously. I hope to be able to come out to your event in the late winter, early new year. Twitter seems to confuse so many people in business, and it's, I think, such a great tool for not every business, but for a lot of businesses. And I think it is so misunderstood. And because of that, people are missing a great opportunity. And I'd love to be able to share more about the opportunity so that people can determine if it's the right fit for their business. It may or may not be. Instagram may be better for some businesses, but for a lot of people, they're missing out on the opportunity to be recognized as an expert in their field in this Twitter sphere of sorts.
Now, I love that term, Twittersphere.
I just made that up, I think.
Well, you heard it here first, Twittersphere. So, I mean, you have a really good feel on the types of businesses that are part of our Promote Her Business community, whether it's women entrepreneurs or our male allies. I mean, can you just talk a little bit more to how do you see this topic being relevant to really small to mid-sized businesses and, getting the word out there and, keeping in mind that the people in small business are wearing multiple hats and they're trying to find the best things for their budget?
Absolutely. And that's the question I get a lot is, doesn't Twitter take a lot of time? And I really don't have a lot of time. So which is the best social media format for me? And here's a couple of things about Twitter that I think are fascinating. One, there are 328 million active users on Twitter. So you have a huge, broad reach all across the globe with this format. But two, it is a place where people go to find content. Unlike any of the other social medias out there, this one, people are specifically looking for content. They're not looking for entertainment, which is what the main focus is when people go and sit down to Facebook or Instagram. So people are primed to receive information here. People are primed to search for information here. So if you've got a skill or content that needs a broad viewing audience, here is where people are going to do the research. So here is where you can get your story out. I think it's a huge missed opportunity for so many people because they're out there, they're blogging on topics, they have expertise in certain topics, and they're trying to share it on social media that people aren't looking to read articles on. So there's that piece. The other piece is, as you mentioned in the entry point of this interview, that businesses are online on Twitter. They have whole departments for their social media. You can actually reach celebrities. You can actually reach the tops of companies. You can reach some of these amazing leaders and or mentors for you directly. Some of them are actually working in their very own accounts. And I have been able to contact directly some major players in the industry through Twitter. I'd never have access to them in any other format, but Twitter, they've actually responded to me. So it's been a fantastic opportunity for me as I'm developing my expertise and my influencer status. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think what you're bringing up is so important because I don't think that's necessarily the first people think of in terms of really being able to reach people that otherwise they couldn't even friend on Facebook.
Right. Exactly.
I love it. So, I mean, there's so many, like you said, there's so many advantages. I mean, you could be a thought leader. If you're a speaker, you're a coach, you're writing articles. I mean, this is a great platform for that. You can reach people you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach. But with that said, Elizabeth, I mean, then why do you feel there's so many people that aren't even on it at all in small business?
I think that people have a misunderstanding of the amount of time it takes. And so there are several different ways you can utilize Twitter. You can go on throughout the day, which I do, but you can also do, which I also do, is program out your tweets. So I do have a Hootsuite account. There's a couple of different companies that you can plan your tweets out for the week. I have a schedule that I utilize in terms of what days I discuss certain topics because I have many hats and there's many areas of expertise I have. I have different days that I talk about different things. Mondays is entrepreneurship. So I set up particular tweets under that title or that kind of genre for Mondays. On Wednesdays, I'll do more motivational tweets and I'll put those in. So I sit down Sunday night, I schedule my tweets for the week. It takes me about a half an hour and I schedule my entire week. Now I'll go in throughout the week and throughout the day and I'll just see what's going on in Twitter. I'll see if there's somebody I need to respond to. If somebody emails me or tweets me or direct messages me through there, I'll respond to those people, because I think it's critical to have the connection. I think people forget that it's not just pushing out content, it's actually interacting with your clients and interacting with people on these social medias. So I'll spend the time to do that. But for the most part, a half an hour a week sets up the tweets for the week, and I set it and forget it. So it doesn't take as much time as people have a tendency to believe, in my opinion.
And for anybody listening, I really feel like Elizabeth just gave us all a really important golden nugget. So if I were you, I would write down right now to think about what's your calendar for the week. What's your social media calendar? Are you doing things on certain days that emphasize different topics? I know at PHB we have, as you know, we have Mondays are Rock Your Week Mondays. Wednesdays are Work Smarter Wednesday. Fridays are Favorite Entrepreneur Friday. So you can see that there's themes that are important, and that keeps us organized. It sounds like that also helps Elizabeth organize her time and also manage expectations of her following of what she's going to produce when, right? And so I would recommend that you take a minute and write down, what's relevant to your social media calendar. I really love that. And then I was curious, Elizabeth, I knew you talked about, you said, you spend a half an hour and you set all this up once a week and you get it and forget it, right? You set it and forget it on Hootsuite. And then what would you say, in terms of, like you said, it's not just about setting it and pushing stuff out, but it's also pulling people in to build relationships or to talk to people, right? Mm-hmm. So how much time would you say you dedicate to relationship building or reaching, talking to people or interacting with them?
Sure. On Twitter, it's, I have all the different social media, so I respond to each social media differently. Twitter, because it moves so quickly, I do have a notification push to my phone. So when somebody responds or reacts with a tweet, I am trying to respond to those within minutes personally. Obviously, if I'm with a client, it'll be after the client session. But I do keep very close eye on Twitter, and I respond to people directly that have liked or forwarded or retweeted or done different things. When I get new followers, I generally try to reach out to that follower and look at them, see what types of work that they're doing, and see if there's something relevant that I can say about them, so that it helps build their network and it helps anybody in their network know that I'm paying attention, that I'm not a bot, that I'm not an admin, that I own my business and I'm looking, I'm watching, you're being seen. And that is really important, and that builds so much for my business. It builds a lot. And because I am a business coach, I do some life coaching, I work with goal achievement, all those things are very personal. And so it's important for me to show my personal aspect. Again, this is something I can't do in any other format other than social media. So I'm able to show people I truly care about my clients, and I do reach out to people personally on a regular basis.
I love that. And you're really, it sounds to me like you're just really walking your talk. It's not like you're just giving us, oh, you could do this and you could do that and you could do this, but it's like stuff you're really doing that has really worked for you.
Absolutely. It's interesting too. I've met a number of industry professionals in my same industry through Twitter. And we're now friends and collaboration partners. And we are promotion partners. Some of these people I've never even met. One of them is in Panama City, which is about an hour from my house on the beaches in Panama. And we're going to get together and talk about doing a seminar together. And I met her through social media. And she was responding to my tweets, and I reached out to her and I said, wow, it looks like we do similar stuff and you're within driving distance of me. Would you like to get together for a cup of coffee? So that's our next step. So it's really great. It's somebody I never would have found had it not been for this medium.
Love it. So what would you say are the two biggest mistakes? Let's say you're new on Twitter. What are those top two mistakes that you should avoid?
The biggest mistake I see is that people try and sell, and they just try and sell. So it was funny. I heard somebody speaking about this topic, and they said, imagine walking into a party and telling somebody you have a book to sell. He said, you haven't asked anybody their name. You don't know anything about anybody else, but you've walked up and held a book in front of your face and said, hey, I have a book to sell. It's that type of thing. And I know that you're familiar with this, Jose, with PHB and the networking thing, right? The card and run. We don't do that at PHB. That was one of the first things that attracted me to PHB, Silicon Valley chapter. And that's one of the things that I like about Twitter is that you're trying to balance providing value and providing content with selling. And so the rule of thumb is 2/3 providing value, 1/3 offering product for sale. And I think if you follow that, you're so much better off. You'll get real followers. You get people who are absolutely interested in the products you are going to tell them because you've already provided value. You've already shared your expertise, and they know they're going to get quality from you. So they're more interested in what you have to sell after they've seen you tweeting about all this other stuff. So that's probably the first mistake I see. I think the other thing is consistency. I think that people just need to be consistent. And when you're not consistent, you lose followers and you lose people's interest. Twitter does move at a faster pace than just about any other of the social medias. So it's really tough. I think it's important that you are consistent with your tweeting.
Now, when you're saying consistent, do you mean consistent like you're on there once a day, or are you saying consistent like you're on there once a day at the same time, or you're on there on the same days? Like what extent of consistent are you talking about?
My first rule is tweeting consistently in terms of daily, right? So again, I set up on Sunday night, I set up my tweets for the whole week. I don't set up 25 tweets for Monday, nothing for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 25 tweets for Friday. I don't do that. I set up 25 for each day, let them go. So it's consistently throughout the week to post stuff because it runs through so quickly. There's a whole bunch of theories about when to tweet. There's a whole bunch of softwares that will be attempted to be sold to you that tells you what's the best time of day to tweet your tweets and blah, blah, blah. For me, I have an international audience. So my tweets actually go 24 hours because my 6 a.m. is your 4 a.m., but it's my Dubai's 9 p.m., so I have clients all around the world. So I don't subscribe to that. I'm not a rules girl to begin with.
Oh, I know.
So I don't subscribe to that rule that, tweet at 11 and 1 and 5. because that doesn't work for my audience. So I think that, you know, the key for anything is know your audience. If you have a California audience for your small business, you know that they are working moms, you know that they are dropping kids off at school and driving to work between 7 and 9. Just don't tweet them. They'll never see it. Tweet them once they've gotten into the office, had their cup of coffee, and are taking their 15 minutes of social media time before they start their day. You know, find the times that they're going to be doing it. Don't do it at 5 p.m. They're cooking dinner, or they're picking the kids up from ballet class, or what have you. You know, do it at 8:30. The kids are in bed. They're doing their social media wind down. So just think about what your audience is doing.
And I really feel like that was just another golden nugget. So if you have a piece of paper, you might want to make a note right now to actually put yourself in the shoes of your client and pay attention to really what goes on for them from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. And, you know, not just for them, but also for their kids and their social media habits too, right?
Absolutely.
So, that is awesome. The other thing I heard that I felt like was such a strong golden nugget, and this is why we have this. This is why we interview the best of the best experts at PHP, because you Google stuff and the Google stuff is not always correct, and it's not always people that have tested it and are living it. And you know, just recently, point being, I saw something on the internet that said that you should have, when in doubt, do a 50-50 split in terms of value versus sales. So, you know, every time you do a value piece, now you've earned the right to do another sales piece. And what's really important here is that is not what's working from Elizabeth's experience. And she's the one actually out there doing it. So please don't just Google stuff and just believe whatever you read on some random article. Please come to PHP, listen to this again. You know, whether or not you're doing Twitter at this second, you might be doing Twitter, you know, 2 months from now. Come back, re-listen to this interview. Don't just trust what's on Google. And can you say the statistic one more time for people? What's the percentage of content or value to sales?
My rule of thumb is 2/3 to 1/3. Absolutely. I think that that's really, and I don't even know that I do a full 1/3. Personally, because what I do is I provide the value and people get interested. They click on my profile. My profile has them redirected to my website. They'll go find you. These are people who are seeking content. That's why they're on Twitter. They're not on Twitter for entertainment like they are with Facebook.
Right. So you've worked with people in the past, right, and taught classes on Twitter, and I'm really curious, can you share with people what has been your proudest moment?
My proudest moment. Well, I'm going to tell you, actually, I have a woman that I've been working with out here in Panama, and she is an essential oils health specialist, and she moved out here with her mother, her 80-year-old mother, from BC, Canada, 2 years ago. And it's coming to the time where they've decided they're going to return to Canada. So what she's done is, because she has a limited time still here in Panama, she stopped really doing a lot of the selling of her essential oils here in Panama, and she wants to just enjoy her time here. But what she said to me when I sat down with her and taught her some Twitter was she wants to work that Twitter so that when she gets back to Canada, she's really primed. People are still aware of her. It's not like she fell off the truck and now she's coming back. It's that people are still getting the education. She's still interacting with her clients. She's still educating and sharing the information. So as she comes back online to being a full-time salesperson, it's not new. And she's created a tremendous audience. And she's got an online business. So it will allow her to really jump back in and not have missed a beat. So I think that that's the type of thing that Twitter can do. And she really doesn't spend a whole lot of time doing her tweets, but she's getting a lot of engagement because people are asking her questions. So she's building a client base that she is going to be able to really, really take advantage of when she gets back into selling.
Great, great. And I know we have many people in health and wellness in our community too. So I think everybody ears popped up and they were like, oh, services. Wow, Twitter works for services. That's pretty cool.
Well, and the great thing about Twitter, and I might be stepping out of the line of the interview, but the great thing about Twitter is you can do some research about, say, allergies, and see who's tweeting about allergies, if they're having a problem with them. If you have an essential oil or a supplement or something that's going to really target those people, then to see what they're hashtagging, what they're requesting, to see people who are having a problem looking for a solution, you can actually target your customers who are asking for solutions out there. So people are coming to Twitter, they can't find the solution to their problem, so they'll ask the question. You have then a built-in customer with a pain point that you know you have the resolution to. Huge, huge bonus. And if you're selling any one of these products that are a direct marketing product that you can sell online, it doesn't matter if they're in Saskatchewan or whether they're in, the United States or in Central America, like me. I can still buy your product even while you're sitting in your bathrobe at home tweeting my answer. So it's a really great benefit in that respect.
That is really great. So it's not so much taking a product or service and trying to get people interested in it. It's like exactly the opposite. It's actually looking at the conversations that people are having and really what's hurting them and their pain points and what they need support in, and then offering something that meets their needs. So it sounds like it's a lot more of a customer-centric approach.
Exactly. You can find the people for whom your customers fit instead of just throwing it out on a billboard and hoping your customers are driving by.
Now, if you want to, let's say you want to meet people, let's say you're selling Tylenol. I know I'm going to get booed because I should be talking about more natural supplements, but sorry. Just an example here, people. Throw in tomatoes. Okay, so let's say you're selling Tylenol and, you're looking for people with headaches. Like, how do you find people with headaches? Like, what do you even, what's the first step?
All right. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Yes. I don't mind. Yes, do share your screen. It's always a trick question.
Now, can you see my Twitter?
Yes.
Fantastic. So up here in this top right-hand corner where it says search Twitter, we put in hashtag headache. And up comes, first off, up comes anybody with headache in their title. So you see this, the American Headache Society, homeopathic remedies for headaches, right? So these are all the top tweets for headaches. And then what you can do is go through and see what people are talking about. So obviously this person is doing something funny, but here is somebody whose business is to banish migraines. So she's actually providing content, providing value, right? She's telling you what a migraine is going to have and what makes them different. Here's some initial management for the migraine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, sorry about the language on that one. Let me see if anybody has a complaint. What causes an ice cream headache? That's very interesting. So here's just something here. I guess I should have expected to be hungover. I only had a V8 and a sour key for dinner last night. Headache after dinner drinks, right? So say you respond to him and say, hey, the Jeffrey 39, and you would respond by hitting this button, which is the reply. And you say, you know what? If you haven't resolved your headache yet, I think a great product is Tylenol, because it cures 98% of hangovers in trials or something to that effect, right? So you find the people. So this one, I have a massive headache right now. Now I'm off to bed. Good night, everyone. You can respond to him. If you wake up and a good night's rest doesn't resolve your headache, you might want to try Tylenol. So that's where you've got people with the issue already, and you just go and search them through and find out what, if you can provide something for them.
Even if you're by yourself, say with me right now, that's cool. That is so cool. That's so going to make people money. That's awesome. Thank you. That was like this whole interview right there.
Here I just typed in allergies, right? First thing that comes up, it's the end of August. Why are my allergies continuing to try to murder me? So you can respond back, what types of things are triggering your allergies? And you can then go back and find out if you have something for them. I might be able to help you. Want to tell me a little bit about your allergies? This one we can't help with, but hay fever in Canada, all the goldenrod and ragweed. Boom, I've got a great solution for you. If you want to check it out, here's the link to the product. Boom. So all these people have the ability to be served by your product. And all you have to do is type in some keywords and figure out, do you have a product? So that, in my opinion, is worth the price of admission, because you've got everything. Tree pollen is killing me. Allergies. Great. By the way, I have such and such a product. It's a really great option for you. So that's one of the things that you can do on Twitter, because people are really going to actually share these types of things with you on Twitter.
So what would you say? So you gave us some awesome information in general. You told us about pain points. You told us about when you're just starting out. How about for our more seasoned users of Twitter? Do you have any power tip for people who've been using Twitter for a while and you just want to help them even take it up like one more notch?
Yeah, the thing for people who have established their expertise and they're really starting to get a large number of followers, I would really start to focus on, what is your Twitter focus? What are you trying to do with Twitter at this point? You've now established yourself as an expert. Are you trying to get customers? Are you trying to get speaking engagements? What are you trying to get out of it? And then really start to hone in and focus on your tweets to make them really targeted. If you've established a large number of followers, highly recommend you start reaching out to people that are your mentors and seeing if there's ways that you can partner with them in some fashion. Certainly feel free to promote them or give them accolades on your Twitter so that you get their attention and you can start to get in their circle. Once you start doing that, you can then ask things of them, but first you give. That's the rule with anything, though.
Gotcha. And so when you're saying mentors, just for clarification for people listening, you're not necessarily, let's start that again. You're not, I've been doing too much Tylenol. No, I'm just joking. Okay, bad joke. Okay. So when you're saying mentors, you're not necessarily saying people who you have like a mentor agreement with, right? Like it's, what do you mean by mentor, just for clarification?
Sure. Sorry about that. I mean that anybody that is a thought leader in your field, anybody that you look up to or you watch for their expertise in the field. I happen to feel that Richard Branson is one of my mentors. I think his business savvy is next to nobody's. I think his philosophy on work, I think his philosophy on running a business, I think his philosophy on dealing with staff, all of them are top notch. I regularly promote him. I regularly write letters to him. I regularly am thanking him for what he does and shares with the community at large, because it definitely impacts and affects me. At some point, he very well may notice me. It just depends. And the larger number of followers you have, the better the chances they're going to start to recognize you as a higher echelon individual. Now, that said, I do not recommend buying followers. I think that's just a jam and it's no good, and I do not recommend doing that. So don't just buy followers to buy them.
And why would you say that?
Oh, for so many reasons. One, I think it's a scam. Two, they are just numbers at that point. So you're spending a lot of time putting out content of value to people who are never going to find it valuable. So you're speaking to the same empty audience that you would have had you taken the time to build your following authentically. And people happen upon you because you're tweeting about and providing content and expertise about a topic that they have interest in. So buying followers just gets a bunch of empty name accounts that don't even have a description to them oftentimes, because people are paid to be those clients. So you're not getting clients, you're not getting any type of great thought leader expertise, because nobody's listening to you because nobody's manning those accounts.
Gotcha. Now, what would you say are important terms or a term that you feel like people should know and we should put in our promotion dictionary at PHP so we can know the things we have to know about Twitter and speak the language at least a little bit?
Yes. So let me again share my screen. Can you share it from your side? You probably can't, actually.
I can't.
Okay, let me escape out of this. Okay, so up here is a profile. Happens to be my profile. And this is pretty much the anatomy of a profile. Over here, you'll see Twitter handle. That's probably the most important term I would say to be familiar with, because once you say, yeah, I'm on Twitter, somebody's going to ask, what's your Twitter handle? And the Twitter handle is simply the title by which your account is under. So my name shows up, but my account is at Thrive This Day. It's the name of my company. So all of my followers are following at Thrive This Day. So that's really important. Right below your Twitter handle is your summary. The one thing I'm going to share about that is you will see that a number of people have hashtags in their summaries. It's totally unnecessary. And all the words in your title, in your summary, excuse me, are searchable. So when I did that hashtag headache or hashtag allergies, if I had one of those words in my summary, I would come up under that search. So any word in my summary is searchable. And then this main section of the Twitter feed is my history and all the tweets that are going through. And you'll notice this was 26 seconds ago. That's 39 seconds ago, 52 seconds ago. It moves quickly. So those are probably the major things to know about. Hashtags are certainly very important. They're the things that people can search under. The other thing is I would never put a hashtag to start a sentence. It just for looks, it doesn't look quite as good, because you oftentimes miss that first word because it's a different color, both on the phone and on a regular computer. And the other thing is if you're tweeting to somebody directly, if you put a dot in front of it, it will go to all of their followers as well as them. If you don't put a dot in front of it, it just goes to your followers and that person to whom you are tweeting. If I did to Jim Rohn official and I just went to him, it's only going to go to him. If I put dot at official Jim Rohn, it would go to all of his followers. It would show up in all of their feeds because it's as if he's tweeted it out. So if I am a coach and I'm going to comment on something he's said, or if I'm going to ask him a question or share expertise based on something I learned from him, if I put the dot at Jim Rohn, then what happens is all of his followers read it and they go, wow, that's really smart, or wow, that's really interesting way to look at it. What's this person about? And you have a built-in audience, access to multiple thousands of people that you would never get in front of had you not been able to tweet Jim's followers. So that's another huge benefit to being on Twitter. I can get in front of Tony Robbins' followers. I can get in front of Jim Rohn's followers. I can get in front of Les Brown's followers any day of the week. If I have something valuable, I'm going to put it out there and I might get more followers based on that. Huge opportunity that you don't get anywhere else.
I think that's so important, and I'm just going to repeat that just to make sure people really get that. So it's not like you just see an article online and you make a comment and then whoever reads it reads your comment. It's like when you make that comment, it goes out to whoever wrote that article, all the followers that are in their network. Is that correct?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Like that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and you already know that those people like this type of what you're doing because you're all following the same person.
I just love it. And it sounds to me like you almost have a trend in terms of people you're following, because you said like Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Richard Branson. So I mean, do you find that's true, that there's kind of some kind of commonality, or?
Yeah, well, I follow a large number of people in my industry, both because I'm looking for content. I'm looking to see what they're doing, what's new, what they're promoting, what they're talking about. It's also how I learn more about my stuff and how I interact with their stuff. And I can find more information that I then share with my clients because it's relevant to something they're working through or something to that effect. It also tells me where they're going to be. Without me following 900 newsletters, I can go on Twitter, and every time they've got a new event that they're hosting, it's always up on Twitter and they're always pushing it. And so I know what they're doing. I don't have the email clutter from everything that they're trying to sell. So it's a more efficient way for me to follow the leaders and the people I consider mentors.
Very cool. And so I feel like that's another golden nugget alert. Golden nugget alert is take a minute and go ahead and write down anybody you would see as a mentor in your industry, or a thought leader, as Elizabeth said, in your industry. Make a list of them. And if you can include women, I know there's a lot of men out there, that would be even more cool. Or maybe you'll be one of the women eventually, right? Um, and then, and then really think about the other piece of it that I heard in what you're saying is we also have a lot of speakers and coaches and consultants and people that want to get on stages, and they're running events. I mean, even people in products that are running events, maybe it's going to people's homes or anything like that. But just what you said about actually looking at your role models, seeing how they're doing it, how are they promoting themselves, and maybe even starting some kind of file on your computer or something, just kind of taking notes to see how are they doing their marketing, because they're a role model for a reason, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with Twitter, you can follow everything from Oprah to the small business next door, and everybody's in the same place. And there's no you have to knock on a certain special golden door to get and follow Oprah versus Sally. And you get to be in the same Twitter feed as Tony Robbins, Oprah, Jim Rohn, and Sally. Everybody's got equal weight. There is no place else that we have that option. We're sharing the stage with people of all calibers. So it's I think a great place to take advantage of it.
It's great. So in terms of success, so you're on this platform, what would be your definition of, like, how do you know if you're winning the game called Twitter?
That it depends on how, of course, you define success, right? Again, I go back to before you start Twitter, I think it's really important to figure out, what do you want to get out of this particular social media? Is it to become known as an expert in your field? Is it to learn more about others in your field? Is it to see what your competition is doing? You can look at all their competitors and follow them on Twitter. What are they saying? What are they promoting? How are they doing it? Are they doing it differently than you? See if it's being more effective. How are they dealing with customer complaints? Because a customer complaint on Twitter gets a lot of attention, I'll tell you. So figure out what that means to you, and then, measure by that. For me, it is something that allows me to meet others in my field and to become known as an expert in my field. And those two things, because people will tell you, oh, I heard you on Twitter. I saw you on Twitter. I heard you on a podcast and I've been following you ever since. Or people will direct message you and say, I love what you're talking about here. Can we talk? Absolutely. So it depends on what you're looking for out of that, and then measure by that.
Very cool. Very cool. And what would you say, I mean, in terms of cost, so you said it's not worth it to buy followers, right? Are there any other hidden costs, monetary costs associated with Twitter?
Well, Twitter itself is absolutely free. Everybody and their brother will try to sell you something you probably just don't need.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hire an admin to run your tweets as well. I don't recommend it. I think that you can really manage it easily without doing that. I don't know where my light just went, but I think that you can do it yourself in a short amount of time if you pay attention to what you're doing and schedule it out. There are different levels of products. As a small business owner, I always go for the free option. If that will suit my needs, I'll stay with the free option. There's more analytics with some other options. There are other softwares that you can use multiple social medias to schedule out multiple social media. So it depends on what you're looking for, and there's always something that you could pay for, but there is no need to pay for anything with Twitter. There is no benefit to paying for anything with Twitter, and there's no costs associated. So again, you're getting in front of millions of people for free. Why wouldn't you do that?
Absolutely. So you gave us, I mean, Elizabeth, you've given us so many golden nuggets today. If you could just share, one or two of your favorite golden nuggets that you just really want to stick with us and have us go into action on, what would you say those are?
The biggest one, and we've already both talked about it a couple of times, provide value. Oh my gosh, provide value. Don't be that person who walks in and tries to just sell. That is really, really a way to get yourself not loved on Twitter. And the other thing is use this opportunity to interact with your followers. Ask them questions, do market research on here. You can create polls, you can ask questions, you can see if you can get engagement with your followers by finding out if an idea that you're thinking about creating is going to be something of value to them. I'm looking at creating a class to do tweeting for business. Would people find that to be valuable? And you will get responses on that. So, again, it's a reason to have followers that actually like what you're putting out there, because then you'll get people to respond. If you buy yourself 6,000 followers and 5,000 of them don't exist, then you might get some answers, but you also might not. Mm-hmm. So definitely interact with your followers, engage with the people in your community, and really, ask them what kinds of questions that you have to make your products better fit. Find out from people what they're needing. If you've got Tylenol and everybody needs Dramamine, then you need to know that and make some decisions for yourself. Maybe I need to add Dramamine to my Tylenol, or maybe I need to get a Dramamine contract next, or what have you. Now that everybody hates both of us for plugging the pharmaceutical industry.
No, I'm just wanting to go on a cruise that you're talking about now more than ever.
Come to the island.
I love it. That's a more fun one to need than Tylenol,
True story. Yeah, I think that that's really the best benefit, and there's so much that you can do research for on Twitter. So if you have any questions, if you want to know stuff, use it as a resource, not just Googling things. Twitter's got a lot of knowledge on it. And there are millions and millions of user accounts on here. There's actually, I have the statistic, 24.6% of the verified users on Twitter are journalists. So if you're trying to get in front of the media, this is a great way to do it, because they are hashtagging and searching things left, right, and center. They are always looking for what is the answer to such and such. And if you positioned yourself as an expert, they're going to find you, and they're looking for you, and they're looking for these answers. So I think that that's super, super great, because again, how else are you going to get in front of them?
So, I mean, in terms of next steps, I know there's a lot of people are listening and they're excited. I mean, I'm excited to use Twitter even more than we have in the past for PHP. And I mean, do you feel like is the next step for them to kind of just explore on their own and kind of go through their own learning curve? Or do you feel like it's better to kind of spend time up front with an expert and figure out how it works and then kind of go off and implement?
Well, I think it's going to cut your time frame and your learning curve if you spend some time with an expert. They'll get you up and running. They'll get you through the basics. For those people who don't have anything to be able to spend to do that, then yeah, you can go ahead and kind of bump around in the dark a little bit. Fact is that when you first start out tweeting, nobody's listening. So don't worry about making a mistake. And it goes so quickly that if you make a terrible mistake, nobody's going to see it. Don't worry about it. The few people that are going to see it after you get going are mostly people that are your friends and people who love you and want you to succeed. So I wouldn't worry about it. If you have an expert, if you guys want to contact me, I'm happy to chat with you about getting your Twitter up and running. And anybody I work with, I then follow them on Twitter. So I'll watch the tweets come through, and I'll usually, respond once in a while and say, hey, this was a really excellent use of a hashtag, or this was really great use of a mention, or what have you, so that you guys understand what you're doing that's really productive and what you're doing that maybe not so much. So I love to do that. I love to help people get on the platform. Again, I think it's an underutilized platform, and there's so much to offer on it that I think that that spending the time, figure out if it's the right platform for you, and then make a decision and start playing around with it. Get some help to get up and running, and start tweeting out and meet with the blue bird.
And one thing I'll plug, I'm going to plug Elizabeth for a minute just because she's awesome. And I actually had the pleasure of sitting through a Twitter class with Elizabeth when she was back here in California. But what's so cool is you can easily train this online too, right? And
Absolutely.
it's more time effective.
Right.
And so what I really got from Elizabeth from a training perspective is that she just makes something that could be totally overwhelming. I mean, it's a new social media platform. There's all these terms. There's all these things you could do. You don't know what to say, how to say it, when you put the period, when you don't put the period. I mean, it's like, right? And what I got from Elizabeth and just being in a very short class with her, I really understood it a lot more than what I had heard in the past like 6 months, just trying to like learn a little clip here, learn a little clip there. I mean, it was just really cool. And she just makes it easy breezy, simple. She tells you what you need most right now to get yourself up and going and really take control of your personal brand. And that's something she didn't even talk about. But do you just train in general, or do you actually help people actually more customize it to their business?
It depends. When I work one-on-one with somebody, I always customize it. When I'm doing a group class, it's a generalized, here's how to get up, here's where you're going to want to do these things, this is what you're going to want to utilize here, this is what you're going to want to plug here, and this is what you're not going to want to plug here, and then get them up and going. But again, the one-on-one, like the woman I work with who's going to be moving back to Canada, we actually put together a strategy. We put together how she can promote links to her business, how she can really keep selling online when she's not selling offline. So we did a whole workup for that. So it was a more customized experience.
Very cool. And I know people are going to want to be following you, my dear. So can you tell us again what your Twitter handle is?
Absolutely. And if you follow me, please introduce yourself as a PHBSV chapter member. I would love to know that you are following. My Twitter handle, as you know, is @ which is the A with the circle on it, Thrive, THRIVE, this day, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces, no nothing. So it is @ Thrive This Day, and I am on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of the social medias under that handle. And I would love to see you on Twitter.
Very cool. Now, if people are interested or open to having a conversation with you about actually getting jump started on the platform or taking it to the next level, how do they contact you?
Best way to do it is to email me at Elizabeth@Thrive This Day, and I would be happy to put together an opportunity to chat and see what your thoughts are, see what you're looking for, and see if there's a way I can help you.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. That's Elizabeth once again at Thrive This Day. Thrive This Day is the Twitter handle, all one word. So thank you. I feel like people got so many golden nuggets from today. And my favorite part was the part about figuring out people's pain point and actually going to people who already need you. That was brilliant.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to share my Twitter knowledge with you all. So thank you for having me.
Very cool. And for everybody listening, just immediately after listening to this interview, please fill out a quick survey about this call, because we want you to let us know other things you'd want to know about Twitter. We can have Elizabeth back here as an expert. We want to get your questions answered. I know there's only so much time, so go ahead and make sure to give us some feedback. You could also give her feedback on Twitter if you want to.
Absolutely.
At Thrive This Day. And so we will wrap it up for today. So keep promoting yourself and your business online, offline,
all the time.
So Elizabeth, give me a P.
P.
Give me an H.
H.
Give me a V.
B.
What do you say?
Hey.
Give me a P.
P.
Give me an H.
H.
Give me a B.
B.
What do you say?
Hey.
Hey, thanks for being a good sport, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.